Hello, Oregon Watercolor Society. I'm Stephanie and this is Ken.
Hello.
And we're joining you via Zoom to talk about our selections of award winners. So as longtime residents of Southern California, we were very much looking forward to visiting your lush green state as a break from the browns and tans we see here every day in arid San Diego. But our northward journey was not meant to be this year. However, the Oregonian vibe came through loud and clear in your paintings. We both kept commenting on how much all of the works, even non-objective pieces, had a very different feeling from what we usually see down here. The landscapes in particular made us feel like we were actually up there in Oregon. And we appreciate your obvious love of the environment. And Ken is going to talk about our jurying process.
So we were tasked to select 80 paintings from a total of 215 entries. The overall level was very high, and we especially enjoyed seeing the wide variety of wonderful textures in many of the pieces. Our intention was to find as wide a range as possible of dynamic representational, semi-representational, and non-objective compositions by artists with great expertise in handling watercolor. On our first round, we viewed all of the images separately so we wouldn't be influenced by each other's choices. Then, after comparing our personal selections, we realized that between us, we had selected way more than 80, so round two was all about searching for a compromise through consultation and discussion. Since we both had become attached to our own certain favorites, our well-honed marital negotiating skills became very useful as we slowly but surely whittled our way down to just 80 pieces. When it came to selecting awards, our decisions were unanimous. Go ahead.
We both wish we could tell those of you who did not make the final cut just how close you may have come to being accepted by one or both of us. But alas, we ran out of room. Unfortunately, there were so many great pieces to select from. We are very pleased with the final outcome. We would like to thank the Watercolor Society of Oregon for entrusting us to jury your 2021 spring exhibition. So now, without further ado, we will start. I'm going to share our screen and we'll start with the awards of merit.
So you want to say something first?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I particularly liked about this was the overall sense of cohesive textures. And I liked the perspective, the foreshortening. I thought that the use of overlapping and just the focal point on the young giraffe's head was particularly charming, if I can use that word. But the overall design is just fantastic. I love the way the tail of the mother giraffe is kind of echoed by the trees in the background. Just a good, simple design with really great focus. Do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, you said it all. We both were, like we said, we're unanimous on our decisions on all of these. I'll go to the next one. And this is.
Oh, who was that?
This was Roxanne Williams.
Roxanne Williams.
Roxanne
Good
Williams.
job, Roxanne.
And then we have Doyle Leak. And go ahead.
Well, you picked this one first, so let's go ahead.
Okay, so what I loved about this is the unusual effort of leaving so much of the drawing and only using watercolor in the middle ground and the top and the bottom. So there's a lot of drawing to look at. And I thought that that was an interesting and creative way to say this watercolor is finished. And it's a great composition of a boat harbor with boats that I think are unique to Oregon.
Yeah, and I really love the way it's kind of the focal point is just sandwiched in between two variations of blue. And I think it's a fantastic piece. Congratulations, Doyle. Want me to start on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the recession, the sense of a flat plain of greenery, which we do not have here in California, receding back, and the way the cloud shapes are reflected down onto the surface. And the aerial perspective is just really good. And I love the way the clouds were stylized. They kind of echo the shape of the mountains. So overall, between the shape of the mountains, the shape of the cloud patterns on the ground, and the clouds themselves, there's just a wonderful design principle of repetition. And I'm just really pleased with the refreshing quality I get from this.
Yes, congratulations, Alicia. We were both very much enjoying looking at your landscape. It's not easy to simplify a landscape, and we both thought you did a really great job.
Great depth. Margaret Godfrey. Because I studied Greek when I was in grammar school, a Waldorf school, I know that pi, omega, and then the infinity sign, and then phi sigma are the letters that are displayed over there. But I don't quite understand what the meaning is, other than somebody is letting go of something and there's an infinity sign between it. And it's a really engaging composition. The open hand, the string being released, carrying those Greek letters away with a tapestry of some sort, and those interesting buildings. What I do like especially is the dominance of red. I think it's a really great design.
Yes, Margaret, we both felt that your painting told a story in a very unique way. It seemed personal, and yet the longer you looked at it, there was something that I think each person could recognize in terms of a journey and the letting go of something. So anyway, congratulations on a very creative and unique way to make a painting.
Yeah, this is another one with great recession. I almost feel like this looks like a quilt. This is Jean Gate. And Jean, you have a wonderful way of leading the viewer back into the painting, onto infinity. And once again, Stephanie and I are very grateful to be able to see something like this when we don't have anything like it in Southern California. Well, maybe up in the lagunas, but it's a very refreshing painting, great overlapping, great perspective. And there's a simplicity that that I particularly like in the way the vineyards just drop over the hill, and the clouds are really done well. It feels like the beginning or the end of a storm. Lovely red spots of barns to accent the dominance of greens and blue greens.
And one of the things I really liked about Jean's painting is the small road, as if this is for a bike or a walking path. It's not your typical road that you would see through a bunch of fields. And so it seems like a road that only a person who knows the area, knows the fields, and can get through the gate could be able to go down. And I really love that about this. There's a privacy in this picture that comes across because of that small road. And the other thing that particularly struck me was the attention to detail on the fencing, and how the perspective was really working from the beginning of the fencing at the top of the hill to how little the sticks got down there towards the bottom. So just a great attention to detail in portraying that much perspective in such a small picture.
One other thing I just noticed, I wanted to just point out, this little puddle of water right down here. So there's a reason it's so green in Oregon. And that's a little bit of leftover rain, I assume. And of course, there's a large pond here. Anyway, this is beautiful. So congratulations, Jean.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
Start on this.
well, this is kind of a sad story, and it's a environmental and a political statement. The decline of the bee colonies, the viruses, mites, parasites, poor nutrition. Yet, when you look close, you can see a little bit about what it's about. The apiary, colony, royal jelly, buzz, drone, queen, honey, wax worker, hive pollen. This painting really tells a wonderful story, I think. And we both really love the contrast of calligraphy to the bold painted shapes. So it's kind of large against small and solid against less solid. Good contrasts.
So in an age where political art is all over the place, here is an artist, Joanne Mueller, who made a very political piece about what's happening with bees in such a beautiful way. So the viewer wants to look at this painting, wants to come close and sees how important bees are to our natural world. And yet back there in the back, like Ken said, she's listed all the problems that are happening with the bee colony. So congratulations, Joanne, on making a beautiful political painting that I think could actually go very far.
Huh. Elizabeth Schilling, you chillin'? This is great. I love the fact that you wrote chill, and then the boots and the positioning definitely show someone in a chill position. On a compositional level, I always look to make sure that each quadrant is a little different from the other. To me, that's one of the reasons a composition works. And from the lower left to the lower right, the upper left and upper right, each corner is a little bit different. And the watercolor is handled so well. I just love the attention to texture, like in here, that reflection, and that feels like real boot leather, even though I know it's probably Arch's watercolor paper texture, but it really works well. And I love this little soft lost edge here, and the textures in the blue jeans just really worked well. So go ahead, Stephanie.
Yeah, well, Ken said it all. It's mostly, I see a lot of paintings of shoes with nobody in them. And this was a real pleasure to see a painting of shoes, a unique composition of the feet, and with somebody in the shoes. So it's a very successful painting. Congratulations, Elizabeth.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, this is one of those paintings that has quite a lot to say in terms of just the naivete of the little child, the rabbit. One of the things I particularly liked was you didn't see the rabbit right away. So this artist paid special attention to make sure it was that little girl's face that was the most important thing. And the rabbit, not so much. And it's just very harmonious, very successfully done. And I just think that Carrie did a great job on this with so much texture in the background, and it's just very harmonious.
And also, I think what Stephanie says is absolutely correct about the one shape standing out. I think this is a painting, if you came into a gallery and stood 15 or 20 feet away, even if it were a small painting, which I'm not sure if it is or not, you would go right to it because there's a really strong graphic pattern to it. And once again, that's ultimately everything is abstraction, even in representational art. And I think that that large red shape against the background with a lot of other different textures really carries the day. So very beautiful. And I love those big brown eyes popping right out of there. Okay, Angela Granger. This is one of the things I really liked about this was the way the birds didn't stand out. Somebody could have just silhouetted the birds and made them black dots, but they fit in. There's an overall wonderful complementary palette of orange and blue that I sense out of this. And the colors that aren't orange and blue are neutral. So since Westerners read from the left to the right, I think it's great that the birds are coming in from the left to the right. The trees are done with a real good watercolor technique. And I think there's just a lot of great expressiveness. I love these flowing lines back here, I think really help to lead the viewer's eye through it. And even this branch here, repeating that. So there's a really lovely sense of a sweep going through the entire painting.
And so, Angela, one of the things that I think is particularly difficult is to work from a photograph and make that photograph your own. And I'm assuming that you did work from a photograph because of the birds that are there, but that the fire lit trees, the top of the trees being lit with that evening glow, I think is fantastic. It shows a great command of the watercolor, and there's a romantic quality to the painting that you have that I think you captured really, really well. So it's beautiful to look at. It feels peaceful, and if it's somewhere that, if it's from your home, I'm really jealous because that looks like a really nice place to hang out.
One quick thing, I also like this grouping of 3 birds and 2 birds and the way these are overlapped. That's very professional. A lot of people don't know about the power of overlapping. And also you have a busy side and a less busy side. So these birds really have a great place to go to. Anyway, and I love this warm mist in the background that really sets off these turquoise hills. Congratulations, Angela.
Okay, this is Robbins, and we were really quite thrilled to see this painting because it has so much texture.
Great texture.
And once again, it's a strong composition. It's a great use of values, and it looks like actually an interesting place. Not sure where it is, but the fact that the composition is so strong, the colors are harmonious, and there's just so much texture made it really, really interesting to look at.
Yeah, it's really like we said earlier, you guys really have great textures in everything you do. We saw that in nearly every painting. And I like the idea of this color palette being a kind of a secondary complementary palette. You've got your purples, your greens, and your touches of orange. So there's a certain harmony, but at the same time, there's a real dominance of the cooler, bluer, more purple colors over the oranges. So looks like a great place to probably get a beverage. Wow. Oh, okay. Well, this is just a lot of fun. I'm not sure who these superheroes are, but and we're trying to figure out a little bit about what all the writing was and whether this was collage. We didn't really know, but we both really liked it. It makes you smile. Not only does it make you smile, but it's a great composition. And I love the way these fists kind of repeat this little bear's ears. I mean, I'm looking at it, I know that there's messages to be read, but I'm looking at more as a really great composition of kind of a green with blue-green and accents of red. I think it's really well balanced and very exciting. All quadrants are different once again.
Yeah, one of the things that I really liked about it is that every single square centimeter inch of this painting is different from every other part of the painting. And so there's a total and complete uniqueness to every single part. So like Ken said, we were looking at it in terms of, is it collage with painting on top of a collage, and not sure what the out there means, except that we just love its messaging something in a very fun way, and maybe it's personal to the artist, but it's very, very successful either which way. We really, really enjoyed viewing this painting.
Congratulations, Rebecca. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is Mitch Wolfser's painting, and this is just a fantastic way to deal with the figure in it's more illustrative, but extremely dynamic. And we both just felt this was very, very successful. Loved the way the chandeliers, where the lights were dealt with. The use of line is fantastic. Finishing some things and leaving other things unfinished or not very finished. So there's a great amount of lost and found. And yet, as a viewer, you know that you're looking at a room full of people enjoying themselves with adult beverages. And so it's just a very fun, joyful painting.
Yeah, and it's once again, it's a lovely kind of a cool neutral background with accents of low-key red, you know, whether it be in the wine glasses or the hair. And there's a great simplicity. It looks like it might have been done on Yupo or something. There's some really great textures in here and little runny areas that I really like. This spontaneity, I love this guy back here. Everything is just so casual and well done. Congratulations, Mitch.
Yeah, especially you created a lot of depth with the way that this figure is, and an even smaller one back here. So it's just, you know, creating depth isn't that easy, and if this was from a photo, it's a great way to work from a photo. So
this is an interesting interaction too between these two. It's almost like he's bringing a second bottle and she wasn't sure about the taste of this wine. I don't know.
Okay, so this is Beth's, and I was particularly fond of this. I was born in Oregon.
McMinnville, right?
Yeah, spent time there as a child and have been there quite a bit since then. And my father was a pilot, and we grew up in airports and airplanes and helicopters. And the fact that you took this photograph and made a watercolor painting of it, I personally just was so enthusiastic about it, because I don't think many people would do that. And so, you know, that's one of the things artists need to find, is what is it that you love and you love to want to paint. And I really feel like Beth did find that in this picture, because it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I knew the shininess of the way it was done. I mean, the reflections of the wheat field in here and the perspective of the star on here is good. I love the sense of heat. It almost feels like I can see heat radiating up and working all the way back here. It's just a really nice application of paint, as well as being a really interesting subject matter. So I take it they're probably getting in and they're going to be racing down and taking off. But beautiful job. And the little kid over here not wanting to go home, I guess.
Oh yeah, I just love that little kid with the shoes and these brush strokes that come right through here. Really fantastic job.
Doesn't it feel warm?
It feels like summer.
Yeah.
You know, so really nice job, Beth.
This is pure devotion to me. You know, this sense of what else can I say? Just pure devotion. And there's a simplicity, and there's nothing else that really needs to be said about this other than it's a real depiction of a moment of prayer and perhaps grace. Well done, lovely colors, very clean colors for all the neutrals that surround This is definitely the focal point, the eyes and the praying hands. Wonderful. Good job, Chris.
Yeah, I as well think it's not easy to stay connected to one feeling and one idea. And I think that Chris did a great job of conveying not only the idea, but the feeling of the idea. And everything about it is just completely successful. So congratulations, Chris, on a beautiful painting.
And plus, it's not easy to do a couple of light sources. You know, you get your reflected light here, but look at the nose. It has light. It's bouncing up from the bottom. There's a little bit of light hitting this finger. All of this is difficult, and there's a little bit of light hitting right under the brows. So it's obviously, it must be coming from a candle or something, some kind of a light. It's just beautiful. In this cast shadow too. It's very nice the way it follows the forms.
Okay,
Good.
those were the awards of distinction. And now we will show you, this is 6th place, Hazel Reeves.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Hazel, man, oh man, did you go after the textures? We just fell in love with how exciting a portrait could be with so much textural variation, even to go in and scratch into the face and not be concerned that you're going to ruin the portrait in any way, the careful painting of the eyes and just the necklace, the highlights on those pearls, everything about what you've done here is really fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is one that Stephanie could probably use. She teaches a course called Focus on the Features, because it's a great way to show somebody focusing on the features. But at the same time, I mean, it looks like this could have been thrown in a parking lot at first and had a few trucks roll over it. And then when it was good and worked over, she decided to paint on the paper. And look at all these lovely little textures back here too. I mean, they're just, you could say, somebody might say, God, that's really busy, but it isn't, because all the things that would normally be busy are quite neutral. And yet you have a really wonderful focus on this part of the face. And I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a woman with a lot of jewelry or a Buddha, but it's very intriguing, Hazel.
Yeah, the other thing I wanted to say about it is, you know, doing portrait painting is already quite difficult. You have many things that you have to manage in terms of proportions and values and depiction, proper depiction of features and whatnot. So after doing all of that, the security that Hazel has in that, she's able to just mark it up all over the place and still know what parts need to be very, very strong. So I think it's also a great painting in showing freedom and security all at the same time, and doing something that's not easy to do, which is portraiture.
Yeah, and as a composition, when I squint my eyes, it's this entire form right down to here. That's one shape. This black area diagonal is a second shape, and then you have the background. So the simplicity of just 3 main shapes, big shapes in contrast to many little intricate shapes, is wonderful and engaging. If I were a kitty, that would be a ball of rolling yarn to me.
And 5th place is Mary Rollins.
Want to say you
Well,
were raised on a farm.
I was raised on a farm, and I'm used to being around cattle, cows, and animals, livestock. And this is definitely something that you would see on the farm all the time. And I just loved it, because it's one of those crops that, to me, someone who's used to being around animals would make a crop like this feel very comfortable and secure in cropping a picture this way. And just a beautiful, beautiful rendition of the cows.
Yeah, and that lovely neutral, warm neutral against this cool with a lot of warm in here. And look how nicely the perspective of the hairs. Look at the rendering here, how these spots follow the forearm. Look at the way the spots follow the forearm here, and these wonderful core shadows bleeding off into the light, and the way even this area in here is just so beautiful. Look at this lovely cast shadow here. There's just a really great sensitivity to this piece. And I also like the fact that it's basically just two shapes, this area and the background. The horn, this horn really comes at you. This is some great rendering, Mary. So congratulations on doing a painting where I mean, I can actually feel like I'm there. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's a really, really fantastic use.
Beautiful color too.
Of two colors,
Yeah.
basically, you know, that red
Turquoise
and blue. Yeah. And had fourth place is Ruth Armitage. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ruth, this is just a lovely example of the power of neutrals and the power of getting just the right proportion of red. So even though it's essentially, it's a warm painting to me with little touches of cool, but the warmth is modulated in such a beautiful way that when the warmth kind of culminates in this area, it doesn't even feel like it's in conflict with the rest of the warmth. It's just really lovely, and all the different corners are different from each other. And I like the small scratches versus the big, massive areas. Just really well done.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say I love it. There's almost practically a soft edge everywhere except for where the center of attention is, which is these red marks right here. So just a wonderful use of grays, a color palette, and a focal point in an abstract painting. And that isn't always easy to do. And I love this little red line right here and the signature right here. It really balances it all off.
And even look at these little intricate circles she put in here. All of this is fair game. When you're talking about a focal point, you got to do everything in your power to make the viewer's eye go there. You don't want them to go to the painting next door. So anyway, it's a great job, and it really keeps the eye circulating. Congratulations on fourth place.
And here we have third place, Liz Walker. And wow, you know, strong, simplified composition with a figure, well drawn, and yet very abstracted. Everything about this is just such a winner. The values, the gesture of the head, the use of the red on the hair, and the hand gestures. I think this kind of painting is very hard to do, and because where do you stop? You know, once you start doing this, where do you say, okay, I think this one's done? And it takes a very confident artist to be able to acknowledge, yep, this one's finished, next. So congratulations, Liz, on third place.
Yes, and I think the negative shapes are just as important as the positive shapes. Look at how Liz didn't bother to render out the arms, because now they're part of this overall outer shape. And look at the asymmetry in the design. And if you were to lose this string back here, the composition might very well have not put you into third place. Whatever you did that for, it really works well. It seems to continue the gesture all the way up and down. And then there's just this one touch of red. I just did a painting called A Touch of Red, where there's just one touch of red in a lot of neutrals. And so I'm responding to something very similar that you came up with, and I really like it a lot. I also like the way you've broken up the shapes here. You know, this, you didn't have to do that, and yet you did. There's a great transparency, and there's a nice contrast of line work to solid work, big shapes to little shapes.
Yeah, beautiful painting, Liz. Congratulations on third place. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is talk about focal points. I think this is a Greek Orthodox. It's either a Greek Orthodox tongue lashing or a discussion. Something's going on there, but this is where your eye goes, and it's a wonderful focal point. I like the symbolism. This could be Santorini. It could be somewhere in Greece, and there's a really lovely sense of patterns. I'm looking at this shape in here. You know, there's shapes that give it a real cohesiveness. And once again, there's line versus solid, large shapes versus small. And these, there's just a very good cohesiveness. And certainly each quadrant is different from the other.
Yeah, so this is second place with Mila Raphael. And once, like Ken said, there are so many layers to this painting. The symbolism and these shapes, these crisscross, this cross here that's in the painting that you don't even see right away, and these triangular shapes that come together. The whole painting, it's so hugely abstract and yet realistic at the same time that's a lot to manage. So this would be one of those paintings that you could just look at over and over again, day after day, in so many different ways. Any collector, anyone who would buy this would never, ever tire of it, because it isn't just a visual story. It's actually a story also about the three men. What are they talking about? What's this conversation? They're very engaged in each other. And so it's quite a dynamic painting. Congratulations on second place. We really, really love this painting.
And it looks like you really worked for it too. It doesn't look like it came all that easy. I'm seeing how you use this brown wash to cover something up here. And there's a flow. I mean, basically it's an X that focuses you right on this area. So it's just really, really great. And, you know, frankly, we wavered between first and second place, but that's
a lot.
Yeah, a lot. And that's the way it ended up. But we're still happy with
we're very happy with the selection. And now we're going to go to first place. Best of show is Sam Livingston.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just real quickly, you get a look at this and it's just so well done, and the sense of light is so good. And as a person who appreciates great technique, the shadows on the building, on the white building, do not compete with the shadows on the darker pavement of the driveway. And that's an important thing called local value. And it's important to really keep that in mind. And this artist really did that, and the perspective is just so beautiful everywhere you go, and nothing is overly labored. You don't look and say, oh gosh, this line is crooked, because if it weren't that way, it probably wouldn't look as good as it does. And I love the depth that you got in this tree area. And also these areas really, even though they're interesting, they don't take away from this. That is certainly your focal point, and everything really leads to it.
Yeah, having grown up around the farmlands of Washington and Oregon State, I'm so familiar with this kind of a look and this type of a scene. And one of the things I especially loved, besides all the things Ken just named, the shadows of the attention to the shadow, like the shadow of this basketball hoop. This is just fantastic. And the shadow of this broom, like there was nothing that Sam didn't pay attention to. It's as if, all the windows that were done and the seeing through of this window to the back and making that, it's just so unbelievable. Everything that was painted here, the way that the wood you can tell it's an old building because of the way the wood is coming off. I know I know what that looks like. And it's just
look everything. Look at that sag right in there.
everything about this is just so fantastic, so well done. The grass, the blades in the grass, without yet having it feel like it's a photograph. So that to both of us, I think, is really important, that you can work from a photo and yet be an artist at the same time and make your painting be a standalone. It's a painting, not a photograph. And congratulations, Sam Livingston, on Best in Show first place.
Well, so did you want to quickly go through?
So we'll just go through one more time. We'll start with the first one. This is the 2021 Spring Show Award winners. I'm Stephanie Goldman. This is Ken.
Yep, and so.
And so here's first place, Best in Show. Second place. Third place. Fourth place. Fifth place. Sixth place. And awards of distinction. You want to say their names?
Yeah, Chris Stubbs. Beth Verheyden. Mitch Wolfshire. Rebecca St. George. Robin Bessick. Angela Granger. Carrie McGraw. Elizabeth Schilling. Joanne Mueller. Jean Gate. Margaret Godfrey. Alicia Whitman. Doyle Leake. And Roxanne Williams.
And congratulations to everyone and everyone that's in the show. I'll stop sharing the screen. And we'd like to thank you for choosing us to be your jurors for your 2021 Spring Watercolor
And we look forward to
exhibition.
giving the workshops.
We do look forward to giving the workshops, and we look forward to meeting each of you in Zoom.
Yeah, it's, and we've both been teaching what we're going to teach up there on a weekly basis. So we have certain things figured out, and I think it'll be a good time to be had by all.
Yeah, so, and we look forward to you bringing your questions and enthusiasm and
Your talent.
your already creative efforts to the Zoom workshops. So we will see you then.
We're signing off.
We're signing off. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oops.